Greetings everybody, Amar here, and today I'm looking at the all or nothing once again. I had to go back and review my video because I didn't remember what I did, and I'm going to try and replicate what I did as well as an extra element that I've added, and that's all part of trying to be consistent with your strategy. So I went back to chart 7 hit charts, and I changed the range here. By default, this is 10 games, 25 and 50. But I changed it to 10, 30, 60 because I'm trying to keep the time frame or the mindset also like of a circle where you have, 30, 60, 90, 180, 360, 720. 25 and 50 is kind of askew for me, so I figured I'd change it. And by keeping this standard, it gives you a good idea of what to expect within a 60 game or 30 game time frame. So within the 60 game chart, what I did different here is here I'm looking at the all-time hit chart rank, right? So in the last video, I only looked at the top 3 over here in the last 60. But I'm going to look at the top in the entire game and then compare them to how they're doing in the 60. So like for instance, 11 is the best in the game, but 11 is down here now in 60 and down here in 30 and over here in the 10 game chart. So this is the performance of the 11. The 12 goes like this. So 12 to 12 is over here, and then 12 is down here, and then 12 is back here, and then the 2. Now the 2 happens to be the top all-time game, well, ranked number 3. So it's a top hitter all time, and now it's a top hitter in the 60 game chart. So I did go back and look at the worst numbers also again within the all-time game. So in the all-time game, the numbers are 3, 6, and 13. Okay. So actually I did not compare these. I actually compared the the worst in the last 60 to where they were in the all-time hit. So the worst number currently in the last 60 games is the 19 with 23 hits, and so it's not quite half of the 2. It's about what, 2/3 maybe. So 23 hits for the 19. 25 for the 18, which is over here, and 25 for the 14. So these are the worst numbers in the last 60, but they're not the worst numbers in the game. So that's interesting because generally the worst numbers in the game are hardest to hit. So I'm just going to look right now. One of the worst numbers in the game is the number 6. So you have, and it's not the game, it's in this particular range because the data only can withstand 4,365 drawings. So the number 6 here is 2,117, whereas the number 2 is 2,232. So it has over 100 more hits. Oh, that's not the 2. Sorry, that's the 11. So the number 2 is over here. So number 2 is 2,223, but that's also over 100 more hits than the worst number here, which is the 6. Now, the interesting thing about the 6, I'm just going to look at the 4B real quick, is that the number 6 is the worst number. And you can see here, the number 6 had a skip of 11. And now it's been very, very hot. Matter of fact, in this streak here, you had no more than, the number going missing for 2 games, which is over here, with a bunch of repeats. Now, this 4B is filtered by the last 60 hits. So this is chart 7. I did 60 game hit chart. And the 60 game hit chart, this is the full range of the game here. Because this is like, when you click, I think you left click over here on the 60, it gives you the ability to filter by whatever range you want. So I changed it from 50 to 60. So what I did with the 4B, here you can see the change to 60 games down here. And that's why you have, these blank spaces here. And I do that because it gives you but by changing the range on the 4B, you are in effect bypassing chart 7 to a certain degree, because you know that this is the last 60 games. If you use the full entire range, these are all going to be full, and it's harder to see which are the colder numbers and the hotter numbers. So the number 6 was cold over here, and going back to the coldest numbers in the last. So this is coldest full data range all time, and the 14 and 19 were the coldest in the last 60. Now there's not a dormant period per se, but you can see here for the number 14 you had to skip 6 and you had to skip 5. So these, and this is of course 06 is a flag formation, 05 is a flag formation. But you really, the hotter numbers basically are just repeating one skip or two skips. So that's what these red boxes indicate, that there's no, it's a streak where it doesn't go above skip 2. So here's number 2. So you have this hot area here, this hot area here. Number 6 had this hot area here, although it's the coldest number all time with the skip 11. And the number 15 here, big long streak. And the number 19, also cold, had a skip of 7. Here's a skip of 4. Here's a skip of 4 over here. So that's just trying to put in perspective what does it mean for a number to be at the top here on a 60-game hit chart as opposed to being at the bottom here on a 60-game hit chart. So the 19 and the 14, I showed the skip 7 and the skip 6. Let me see, the skip 8, number 18 has skip 5 here, skip 4, skip 4. So it's not, hot and hitting the way you would like it. So what I did then was, let's see, I went to chart number 4, and I basically did the same kind of rankings here. So I have the hot rank all here, where you have the 2, the 11, and the 12. And you can verify that here by going back to chart number 7, the 2, the 11, and the 12. And then you have the hot rank in the last 60, which is the 2, the 3, and the 15. So you have, last 60, because I changed it. The 2, the 15, and the 3. So you have that's the top rank. And then what I did is the cold rank all is the 3, the 6, and the 13, and the cold rank in the last 60, which is the 14, 18, 19. So that's what these colors represent. As far as, let's see, let me copy this and paste this and turn this around. So that's what, going from left to right, that's what that is. It's the hot rank. And if I go down here, this is the cold rank, last 60. So I'm trying to get a framework of what's happening all time and recent time. And so then what I did was, is I went to chart number 9, and I looked at the triads. So these are the top triads here in the full range of data, in the 4,365 draws, so 1 to 9. So that's all time. And then what I did was I then changed the range again here. I changed the range to last 60, and I looked to see what are the best triads within that particular range. And then also here's the pairs. So here's the pairs. Again, I changed the range here to last 60 draws, and the 2-9 is the top pair. So in the last 60 draws, the 2-9 has hit 21 times. So that's almost 33% of the time. 1/3 of the time you had the 2-9 hitting. And then the triad, let's see, did I cover what happened? That one's above that one. Is that what happened? Okay, that one's above. All right, so this was full time. No, it's not full time. What am I doing? It's over here. I had it right set up. Huh. All right, this is full time. You can tell it's full time also because it has 546, and I show the range here so you know where I am, what I'm doing, and so you don't get lost. Okay, so I took the triad. Now, I could have looked at all of these triads individually, right? Because all of these triads have hit 13 times. So you could, do combinations of these triads to see what's going on. But what I did was I looked at the 2, 9, 11 in more depth. And so in more depth, what I did was I used the binocular function that Advantage Gold has. So let's go over here. So on the main page, again, I have it here. I have the range changed to the last 60 because I want to know what's going on recently in the recent time frame. So if you right click on this box here, you get this menu comes up and you select Find Lotto Numbers. And when you get Find Lotto Numbers, this box comes up here. And this box then you click on 2, 9, 11 and you want to say it match at least 3. You can change the match to 2, which I do for my pick 5. But that's a little bit more advanced and it takes a lot of more intuition using that. But this is just going to be straight logic here. So you do the 3 hits and then you click on hit with, and that brings you to this. You get this table comes up. Hits with 13 drawings, and then you have options hits with graph, skip graph. So you can see here that for this particular triad, the 2, 9, and 11, which are highlighted bold black here, it went missing. The most it went missing was 9 games here, and that was March 29, which was a couple days ago. Actually, 2 days ago. So nine drawings, and then you had a skip of 8 here and a skip of 8, which means that you would have to play and for the trend to be your friend, the trend has to stay. So if you're assuming that this trend is going to stay, or you're theorizing based on the trend that it's not going to go more than 9 games, which would be 2 days. So if you played it April 1st, April 2nd, you'd think that the 2, 9, 11 is going to come in again. And then, so that's the table. And by looking at the table, you can gauge, like for instance here, I talk about the Fibonacci strategy. Now the Fibonacci strategy, you could say here from 2 to 22. So you would have filtered out the 1 here, and you would have filtered out the 23, 24, which would give you more of a probability of trapping numbers within, between the 2 and the 22. So from here, from 2 to 24 is Fibonacci 22, right? So the Fibonacci, I'm using 21 plus or minus 1. So this would be 22, and then from 2 to 22 is 20. From 2 to 23 over here is 21. So it's just a filtering strategy that I'm using, and so you can get an idea of what numbers, if this is from 1 to 22 in this particular instance. So it takes a lot of practice and there's a lot of hit and miss to see. And of course, you might say, I want to do from 2 to 22, or you might say I want to do from 2 to 23. So it all depends, on how you're feeling. And then here, if you click on the hits with graph, it gives you an idea of the best numbers that also let hit. So if you're going to do from 2 to 22, because this is 2, 9, 11, and then these are all the best numbers with the 2, 9, 11. So you could make a line like just based on this chart alone, right? You could say you're going to do the 2, you're going to do here, this is the 6, you could do for the 8, which is over here, and then a 9, and then 11, and then you do the 15, and then 16, and how many numbers is that? That's 7, and then you could do, let's say, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's how many numbers is that? That's 11 numbers, right? And let's say, you're going to throw in, I don't know, the 1. And you can get one line, just based off of this graph. Okay, if I threw in the 1, yeah, it was a low one, but you should really be cross-referencing off of the drawing sense hit chart. You can say, all right, the 1 is at skip 0 here, so I like it. So in the other video, I did also do the sum of the skips, and I did that using the main here. Now the main auto update for 331 did not happen. So I had to go and got the data from Lottery Post here. Now, the odds are pretty high for this game. It's 1 in 2 million to match 12. I would be shooting for matching 10. If I was playing this game, this is what I would be shooting for, matching 10. So if you have your triad 2, 9, 11, you're hoping to get the other 7 correct, and that would give you 10. And if you get the triad correct, and then you can get another 5, that at least you're going to win your money back with 2. But I would be shooting to match 10, $50. So at least you're playing with house money. That would be my goal. All right, so I did. Let's see. So I did the main, and then you export using chart V. You can export. The export didn't work using the last 60, so I had to change it to the full range, and then I redid it and exported using only the rows. And so after exporting it, this is the sum column here. And I didn't have to actually copy it and export it. You could actually make the graph just by highlighting the data there. So this chart then is sum of skips last 60 games. And so it looks like you have a little bit of, you have these outliers here, the 7, the 6, the 4, the 6, the 5, the 6. It appears, and this becomes intuitive at this point. I can't say what's the best and what's wrong and what's right, but I would shoot for something in between here. And because you have a lot of 10s, here's a 10, 10, 10, 10, a lot of 11s, 12s. So this is just where I'm shooting for, because this happens more of the time. If you're shooting for your skips to add up to 29, you're only going to have, one chance within 60 drawings for that to happen. So this is the 60 here from the filter. So you're trying to stay in here because, like Gail says, whatever happens most often, something like that. So I'm trying to do the sum of the skips between 10, 11, 12, 13, between these red bars. So if we go back to chart 4 now, I have the 2, 9, 11. Here's my triad, okay? And then I made this line. So this 2, this 9, this 11 stays in. So the 2, 9, 11 would be like my 3 power numbers. Those are the numbers that I have in both combinations. And I had to do this formula for the count here. So this is a count. So I didn't make a mistake, put less numbers. And then over here is the sum of the skips. So this is the sum, and it ranges the sum. So I hit X. So I did 2, 9, 11, and then I put evens here, 4, 6, and on this line, I put odds, 3, 5, 7. And on this line, I was going from 2 to 22. You had a repeat. Certainly the 24 could hit. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm trying to maintain a strategy. And for a strategy to work, you must be consistent. It must maintain over time. Because picking the winning numbers is not the hard part. The hard part is the timing of when the winning numbers are going to come out. So I had the 2, 9, 11. Then I did evens, 4, 6. This one, 2, 9, 11 with evens, 3, 5, 7. And then from this 20, I did just an adjacent movement all the way to the left. It does include the 17, 18, 9, the 18 and 19, which are the colder numbers. You can see the 9 is an upstroke flag skip here. So, actually, wait a minute. Hold on, because I don't have this skip. Actually, you know what I think I did here? This is 12, but this skip is not marked here. So let me see, what did I do? Oh, that's what I did. I threw out this 19. I threw out the 19. Why? Because it's the coldest number in the last 6. So it was a little bit tricky. So let me delete that here. And what I did was I threw in the 1. Okay, that's what I did. I wanted to get rid of this 19 and make sure I had the 9. That's what it was. So I threw out the 19 and put in the 1. Okay, sorry about that. So basically, all right, so I put in the sum. I made this bar like this. Actually, no, this bar. So the number 1, right, I put the 1 here, and then I put the skip, and then 2, and then the skip. And I try not to make errors, you know, but unfortunately sometimes they just happen. And so there's my sum. So I have this line and this line based on the sum of the skips, based on this top triad, 2, 9, 11, and I guess that's about it. Now, in regards to also making mistakes, since the it wouldn't auto update, and I had to use this data. So basically, I had this data next to the program side by side, and I entered it in. Now, I don't like to enter in the data like this because it leaves more room for errors, but there's nothing I could do. So I did that. So just, I'm doing my best to not make errors. And unfortunately, sometimes I do, and unfortunately, you will make errors as well. And I think that's about it. So the 2, 9, 11. So this is like a bonus line, just based on the theory of, the best numbers with the 2, 9, and 11. And then you could also, the same process that I did to find the 2, 9, and 11 here, 2, 9, and 11, you could then also then do that for, where is it, chart number 9. You could do that for the next, top triad, the 2, 9, 16, or the 2, 9, 23, or the 4, 23, 24. Like for instance, for this one, for the 4, 22, 24, you could also do the filter, the Fibonacci filter, and see, okay, when you have the 4, 24, 23, 24, do more numbers occur between the 4 and the 24? So you can leave out the 1, 2, and 3. That would be part of the 10-game group strategy, but I don't want to just go too over into Never Never Land with a million things. But these are definitely, you could look at these 2, 9, 16, 4, 34, and try to get a profile. Try to get a profile of these top numbers and how they perform in their triad to determine what is the longest skip that you're going to get here as far as, when a triad will come back. So questions, comments, you guys know the drill. I'm going to try and do some other states. It took a while to set this up with all of these charts. I probably won't do an all or nothing for a while, but I may put those lines on the board just to see how they do, or I might run the wheel through Advantage Gold to see, how they did, because when it comes to, tracking how these numbers are going to do over time, it becomes very hard. It's so messy. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I did so with this line also, it originally started off with just an adjacent movement from the 22. So it went from left to right like that. And so that's 6 numbers in a row. And that does happen. Like here, you had 6 numbers in a row. And you had 6 numbers in a row. Or 6 numbers, how do you say, in a row? Or is it touching? Neighbors? 6 neighbors. You had 6 neighbors. She says neighbors. I like kind of neighbors. Because when you say in a row, do you mean in a row going from left to right, or in a row from top to bottom? So that's part of the terminology that makes it hard to communicate with other lottery players. But then also when I made this big gap here, I was concerned that I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. It's a big gap, But you had the big gap here where 6 numbers. There's a big gap of 6 games. A big gap of 6 between this 2 and this is, what is this? The 2 and the 9. And over here you had a gap of 5. So even though your line might have a big gap like this, it does happen. So I wouldn't, freak out too much about that. So sorry that this video is so long. I was trying to do it in 12 minutes like the previous video. So if you made it this long, I basically did keep a lot of the same elements. The only thing that I added with this was the triad aspect of it. And the triads, remember also, you want to change the range to the last 60 because the all-time triad might not be the one that's hitting currently. So that's about it. Again, my email is amarghlotto@gmail.com, and I'm going to look at Singapore eventually because I got another question regarding the Fibonacci strategy, and it's a little bit harder because I'm not familiar with that game, and I think it's the Toto. But anyway, that's about it. So thanks for watching. Good luck, everybody, and stay tuned.